Okay, this is my 1931 Ariel SG, known as a Sloper for obvious reasons, because the cylinder barrel is at an angle from 30 degrees from horizontal. They were made by Ariels for only 2 years. They were introduced at the Motorcycle Show in October 1930, which I believe was at Olympia. That's when they were introduced to the public. And production stopped in 1932 when Ariels actually went bust. And the son of the original owner of the company took over the company and revamped the whole model range. So they didn't appear after 1932. This particular one left the factory in February 31 and was dispatched to a dealership in Dublin, Ireland called Lindsay & Sons, who were obviously the selling agent at that time. From then onwards, we don't really know what happened to it. Obviously, it had a lot of use because of the condition it was in when I received it. It was very poor. So it's seen a lot of action over the years. I spotted it at an auto jumble in 1993 in very poor condition. At first, I didn't really realise what I was looking at. I was pretty knowledgeable on Ariels, and I soon sussed out it was an Ariel. But basically, the top end of the engine was completely missing. The fuel tank, the headlight, and mudguards were on the bike, but in very poor condition. And the whole bike had been sandblasted, it would seem, and sprayed with like a red oxide primer over the whole thing, which I think possibly preserved it. So yeah, I suppose I had my rose-coloured spectacles on and agreed a price for the chap and bought it. And then over the next 20 years, set about sourcing the missing parts and making missing parts by speaking to various people in the Ariel Owners Club and friends who are also into Ariels in a big way. Eventually found and made the parts and finished the restoration in 2013. So it was quite challenging finding the parts because there weren't many of these made. And this being a 4-valve model, obviously with 4 valves per cylinder, which was a little bit unusual for the period, although quite a few manufacturers were doing it as a fashion thing. BSA's, Royal Enfield, I think they all did 4-valve heads about this period, early 30s. So eventually found the head, which was badly damaged, and spent hours repairing it and various other parts. Had to make the toolbox. I managed to borrow one off a friend as a pattern. The exhausts were made locally. The silencers were made in the Czech Republic, of all places. Most of the parts are original parts. The fuel tank, thankfully, was savable because you just never see them. I think other people who restored these bikes have petrol tanks made for them at great expense, but luckily this one was salvageable. One down is first.
One day?
Yeah, because it's unchanged.
Yeah.
Unchanged. Yeah, a challenge is just really sourcing the parts, searching around the auto jumbles and identifying the parts, speaking to people and borrowing parts as a pattern. So I knew A, what I was looking for, or B, what I had to make. Unusual, unique features really, as the angle of the cylinder. Again, a lot of the manufacturers had the cylinders inclined at certain degrees, but Ariels went inclined quite a long way over, as I say, 30 degrees from horizontal, which gives it a very low centre of gravity, so it handles nicely. The other slightly strange thing, the rear brake pedal is on the right-hand side, which you have to think about when you're riding it. Most British bikes of that period, the brake pedal was on the near side. Although once again, at this period, some of the other manufacturers did have their brake pedal on this side. Whether it was to do with ease of fitting a sidecar, maybe reasons along those lines, but the 1932 version of this bike, they'd moved the brake pedal back to the near side. So things were being developed and altered throughout the production. The 1932 version of this, there was quite a few changes made. They had a different shaped petrol tank, quite a few modifications to the lubrication system and things. Riding the bike, it's being just over square with the engine dimensions, it accelerates very well. I wouldn't say it was a fast bike, it's not in a high state of tune, it's not particularly high compression ratio, but it does accelerate well. Being hand change sort of spoils it a little bit because you can't change gear quickly with a hand change box. It's all done at a leisurely pace. Once you're in top gear, sailing along, it's very smooth, handles very well, braking is adequate. It gets a bit tiresome in traffic because of the modern pace of life. Once you hit traffic and you've got traffic lights and things like that, going up and down the gearbox is not easy because you can't do it quickly. You can't change gear to match the pace of modern traffic, so you have to sort of read the traffic and not try to ride too close to anything, just sort of back off and ride as smoothly as you can, otherwise it can be a bit tiresome. But once on a nice smooth open road, it's great.
This must be the only bike in the world which has won the prestigious Best of Show award and is then used to ride to work. Jim's 1931 Ariel Sloper won Best of Show at the 40th Carole Nash Bristol Motorcycle Show at Shepton Mallet in February 2020. This was the fourth occasion Jim had displayed the bike, having previously got second and third in the pre-war class. Jim said, "It was really something to achieve the Best in Show award this year. Good things must come to those who wait." Jim bought the Ariel in 1993 and finished the restoration in 2013. Jim works with Sammy in the Sammy Miller Museum Restoration Workshop, restoring and maintaining the Museum Trust's 500 plus bikes on display in the New Milton Museum. The Ariel Sloper is one of a large collection of Jim's Ariels. Jim loves riding his Ariel and regularly attends VMCC runs, rides for pleasure and to work at the museum, when the weather is dry.